Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sanghang namasami. So, I'm really pleased to have made it up here. I was in a bit of doubt earlier on, as I have quite a strong chest cough, and I thought I wouldn't be able to speak. I'm very appreciative of this opportunity to speak on Dhamma with the community here. It's the first time for quite a while, and I've been very touched by this visit to Amaravati, spending time with my sisters, brothers in the community. Very strong reminders of this human predicament that we all share. And one of the sisters this morning was saying how now the body is in charge. I think I can say who it is, Ajahn Bodhipala, she said. Now the body has taken over. I used to think the mind was in charge, but now the body's in charge. So just coming and being around my sisters who are getting older and reminding me of my own aging and mortality. And then just sitting, because not being able to chant, just listening to the sound of everybody's voices, blending in together, chanting the 28 Buddhist chant. I was just sitting there thinking, I don't know if I've ever heard anything quite so beautiful. And sort of different slight variations here and there, but just a sense of people's voices blending together as a group, chanting these very powerful words, teachings, reminders. We do live a very extraordinary life where there is the opportunity to participate in something all together, blending in, doing something beautiful. And at the same time, being painfully aware of our differences. There's something quite extraordinary about living in community that enables us to see that, to see the way that the mind responds to different people, different ideas, different ways of doing things. And learning how to respond to difficulties, to conflicts. It's a kind of life's work, really. I don't mean to say that in a discouraging way, but just more that it's something that it takes effort. I enjoyed Ajahn Candasirī's reflection this morning, talking about patience, the need for patience, and reminding us of Luang Por Cha's simile that he used for the practice, and how to be earthworm practice, which doesn't sound very spectacular at all. Most people don't have much admiration for earthworms. They don't think, I want to be like an earthworm. It's not a usual human aspiration. And so a reflection like this can cause us to ponder, what does this mean? Why would he use that simile for how to practice the Dhamma? I'm not quite sure what the anatomy is of earthworms and whether they have mouths and things the way that we do. But I guess, the impression I have is that earthworms kind of move through the earth, kind of nose or sort of the front bit first. And just keep going. Just moving through the earth. I was thinking also about slugs. We have a lot of slugs at Milne Hume. And I think slugs and earthworms in some ways, well, they have one very important similarity, which is that they move along the earth, that they keep in touch with the earth. Their whole bodies are designed to stay in contact with the earth. So I think Ajahn Chah's simile of the earthworm is like just facing or being with whatever it's presenting itself, without any thought about the grand plan, but just with this moment, whatever it is. And this is the same with the slug. They keep in contact with this moment. I like it because it seems that one of the most important things in practice is to keep in touch. Of course, as human beings, we don't keep all of our bodies in touch with the earth. Our feet are in contact with the earth, but the rest of our bodies are upright. But using it as a simile for keeping in contact with the mind. And it's basically what people talk about as mindfulness, staying in touch. Staying in touch. Sometimes we want to get carried away. There's wonderful feelings of, being excited about some plan, some idea, some activity, and so we can get, there's a kind of energy that just pulls us into the future, into this particular thing that we're doing. And sometimes we actually lose touch with what's happening for us at a deeper level. We lose touch with our bodies. We just get carried away on a high, which is can be lovely, it can be exciting, it can be wonderful. It can have a very happy outcome. And also it can get us into trouble. Maybe we don't realize that we're tired. Maybe we don't realize that we're really upset about something, really confused, really irritated. Sometimes with the less pleasant things that arise, we can not particularly want to be in touch with them at all. And we can just push them down, push them out of the way. I'm not going to bother with that. I don't want to look at that. I used to ponder the whole phenomenon of minding. Like if somebody says something that I don't like, and I mind. I don't know about you, but I really don't like minding. I'd rather not mind. I'd rather say, oh, it's all right, I don't mind. And sometimes we say that. But I found myself, if I say that, sometimes I'm not being completely honest. Maybe I do mind. Maybe I'm really upset, angry, confused, frightened. All these kind of emotions that I don't really want to acknowledge. But one of the things that as disciples of the Buddha we're doing, which is a little bit different from what most people are doing, is learning about the mind. Everything about the mind. Using every single moment, every single experience, the wonderful ones and the horrible ones, the exciting, inspiring, joyful things in the mind, and then the sad, depressing, embarrassing, humiliating, shameful, all of these things. This practice is an invitation to learn about all of these things so that we no longer push them down or try to ignore them, try to run away from them. We take an interest, we're curious. I'm always talking about the Buddha, the Lokavidu, the one who knows the worlds. And the way I understand this, it's obviously he kind of knows all the unseen realms and the Devalokas and all of that and the hell realms. This is part of what that means, but it also means just understanding fully every possible experience that as human beings we can meet in our lives. Knowing them, really knowing them. Knowing them as part of the flow of the ever-changing conditions of our lives. We don't have to go into all the reasons, the storyline behind why we're upset or upset or angry or confused. We don't need to go into all of that, but what we need to do is to know it as an experience here and now. And to know this moment and to know that it's arisen and to know that having arisen, it will cease. Just going to have a little drink. This is a really important thing to know. And it's very easy to overlook this. You say, I don't mind, and move on to the next thing, and pretend it's past until a similar circumstance, a similar situation arises again. The same trigger is activated, the same button is pushed, and off we go again. And then maybe we end up doing or saying something that we really regret, that is really unfortunate. So keeping in touch. In this way we can recognize when there's something that might get us into trouble arising. When we feel really angry or upset about something or about somebody. If we're not in touch, the chances are that we'll do or say something. Maybe wanting to hurt the other person, maybe wanting to humiliate them, or make life difficult for them. This is something we all do, when we react. But we have the possibility to do better than that. Keep in touch, stay present. I often talk about, minding the ouch. So if something happens that's upsetting or difficult, somebody says something we don't like, that presses our buttons that we feel unhappy about, just recognizing, ouch, that hurt, I didn't like that. So really giving a space for that ouch to acknowledge that something has been activated, something has been upset, triggered. Stay with that. Establish presence with that. This breath that we have is a wonderful resource. Just coming to the breath, coming to the out-breath, breathing out into the earth, relaxing, waiting for a moment before we respond. You notice I use the word respond as opposed to react. A response is something that is helpful, appropriate, as opposed to a reaction, which is just simply not necessarily very appropriate or helpful. Justified, perhaps. In fact, in worldly terms, that's what people do. They react all the time, bouncing off one another. And we wonder why the world is such a kind of violent and confusing place. It's because people don't know how to keep in touch with themselves. There's a couple of very amazing verses in the Dhammapada. And I'll see if I can remember them well enough. Or give the gist of them. Something like, like the worst enemy or robber or thief is the untrained mind. Whereas neither your mother nor your father nor your closest best friend, wisest companion can bring as many blessings as the well-trained mind, as a mind that is well-trained, well-restrained. So it doesn't necessarily mean being incredibly intelligent, with a PhD or anything like that. But it means just simply staying in touch, like the earthworm or the slug, willing to be with whatever's happening, the wonderful, the terrible, the exciting, the dramatic, beautiful, difficult, horrible, terrible, ghastly, tragic. Staying in touch, holding steady. Like the practice of perfect equanimity, upekkha, holding steady, whatever life presents us with. So all of us are on an ocean cruiser to, oh dear, I don't want to be depressing actually. But anyway, we're all getting older. And We're all going to die. It's just one of those things. And so it can be helpful just to consider what's really important in this life. Now we might think, Nibbana, getting enlightened, yeah. We probably don't think being a slug or an earthworm. But maybe we might be able to use those similes as an encouragement to keep in touch. We just have this life. This is our equipment. This is our laboratory. This is where we learn all the lessons of life. So we can use every moment, every little experience, every little time we get into an argument about something, or somebody maybe doesn't treat us with quite as much respect as we would like, or put something in the wrong place, makes a mistake, does something foolish. Yeah. Community life is brilliant for all of these things. Community life with all different nationalities. I always feel really proud of our community, the fact that we manage to live together as well as we do. I obviously don't know what it's like to be a monk, but I know that being a nun can be really difficult. And I'm really, really glad to come and spend time with the sisters. And we sat for 3 days in a meeting, talking about stuff. And it was really inspiring how people just patiently listened to each other and, figured out different strategies, ways forward with different things. But when we, you might think, what an awful thing to have to do. But when we use it for practice, it can be very illuminating. It can support us on our journey to liberation, rather than being seen as something as a terrible distraction from my practice. Practice is about keeping in touch. And we can keep in touch when we're sitting on our meditation mat. We can keep in touch when we're eating our meal. We can keep in touch when we're in a meeting. We can keep in touch when we're out for a walk. We can keep in touch when we're not very well. Everything we do is an opportunity to learn a little bit more about this human predicament. So we become a true loka-vidu like the Buddha. Maybe we won't know about the hell realms and the heavenly realms, but we'll know about this human realm. We'll know that everything that arises ceases. And we'll know that there's no self in any of it. We'll little by little come to see the self as a creation of the mind, a sankhara. Something to be understood and relinquished. So I'm not sure how much longer I'm going to be able to carry on speaking. So maybe I'll end this little talk now with my sincere good wishes for everyone's perfect liberation from all suffering. Everyone.